this fantasy. Now I'm looking for a way to better me, a remedy. I look at myself, so what do I, you recognize who traumatized me. Now what do I do? Pick up the pieces and go.
What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Oh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm trying to live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10, whoa, whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10, whoa, whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. 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 Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. 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 Oh, yeah, I've discussed it with myself, and I'm disgusted with the way we're told to have a certain face. I stood and wait because we aren't pixels on a screen. No, we're human, we breathe. Every single thing we see curated. It's overrated. These expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm trying to live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to think. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10.
It's a tug of war, battling to keep my sanity. Say no more, say no more. I love you, but I can't keep killing me. I look at myself, I wonder why you don't recognize who you traumatize me. Now what do I do? Pick up the pieces and go. I've adored time I had lived in this fantasy. Now I'm looking for a way to better me, a remedy. I look at myself, wonder why you recognize who traumatized me. Now what do I do? Pick up the pieces and go.
What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Oh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10, whoa, whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10, whoa, whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. 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 Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. 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 Oh, yeah, I've discussed it with myself, and I'm disgusted with the way we're told to have a certain face, a certain weight, because we aren't pixels on a screen. No, we're human, we breathe. Every single thing we see curated, it's overrated. These expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to think. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next round of Meta, where we have the high school teams going head to head. My name is Ewan Eardis Reed. I am joined by Reinar, and it's very exciting to be kicking it off once again.
I have to agree with you on that one. I mean, I watched the earlier game being broadcasted, and I was actually really ecstatic at some of the gameplays that I saw between those two teams. Just seeing, I believe it was SA versus AFF, and like both teams performed really well. I feel as though we might see something relatively similar coming into round two. And I
Hopefully.
believe we're coming into week 7 of the high school league. I think it is. I'm not really 100% sure what the teams are on the roster yet. We've yet to be given that little bit of information. But for the time being, what are your thoughts? Like throughout this entire season, what are your thoughts about what you've seen so far coming out from the entire ladder?
It seems to be one of two win conditions coming out of teams. It's either a very solo dominant, win lane and then sort of snowball the game from there and take over quite early on, or they end up, winning lane and then unfortunately the macro decisions do not go in their favor. And well, unfortunately, they can't really find a way to end it. But we'll find out which one that is as we do know, Reinhardt, which game we're going to be having for today. We're going to have Fairvale High School going up against Kingsgrove's North High School. So it'd be very fun to see these two teams finally being able to duke it out.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen both teams played before on the map, and it would be really interesting to see what they have in their lineup, what they have, what type of team strategy they have, in store for us. Like, are they going to try and do a 4-1 split, or are they going to do a full 5-man collapse, or are they even going to try and go for the early game composition and just completely blow the game away and try and get it relatively within the 25-minute zone? I mean, that is definitely something worth achieving, but if you can't really, hit that 25-minute mark and have the game heavily in your favor, then obviously it's going to turn to whoever's going to have the mid to late game, base champions in their lineup to essentially like take away the game and put things more into their favor.
And the thing that I've identified seeing out of that one is the way that the jungle interacts with the game for that first 15 to 20 minutes. How much impact are they able to have on their lane? Specifically, can they get their laners ahead? Because if you're able to get your solo laners ahead in those first 20 minutes, you significantly increase your chances to be able to snowball and take the game from there. So I'm really hoping to see the trinity of junglers that seem to be dominating right now, Reinhardt.
And what are those trinity of junglers that you're speaking of?
The trinity of junglers in this case is still Jarvan 4. The Rek'Sai is still hanging out there, and of course Sejuani is hiding in the back pocket as well. So I'm hoping to see them, but there may potentially be some Master Yi with the changes that came out this patch as well. So you never know.
Yeah, there've been quite a few changes made into, this current patch. I believe 9.10 we're rolling into. We've seen Gwynsu's Rageblade having a considerable debuff. I believe it's taking on 3 basic attacks for it to proc, your extra passive that you have, or the extra on-hit passive like Wit's End, for example. That it's really putting champions like Varus, Vayne, and a couple of others a little bit behind in pocket, and I fear as though we're going to see them disappear from the rift a little bit more often, mainly because of that reason. Like a lot of people have been taking those champions just because of how powerful Gwynter's Rageblade has actually been for them, and their entire ability lineup, especially playing when you're playing Vayne and you go up against a very healthy champion. That it doesn't matter how much armor you have, because she does true damage. It essentially just voids everything. And since Gwyntu's Rageblade used to proc on every second stack, it's like almost as if like you don't even need to worry about those defensive stats. She just bypasses everything with that true damage. And now with this nerf that we're seeing coming in from in this current patch with these item changes and stuff, I feel as though we're going to be seeing something a little bit more different. Like we might see a little bit more on the conventional side when seeing ADCs appearing on the Rift. And from my example, should I say my prediction, would be something like Tristana, Zaya, Ashe, as well as a little bit of Kai'Sa. I mean, she still is relatively strong, Another champion that is historically strong, Lucian, and if she's paired up with somebody else on her team, like Brom, it's pretty much going to be considerable.
We'll see what they do decide to grab themselves as we are loaded into game. Fairvale High School going up against Kingsgrove's team. Kingsgrove's, I love the name of this team as well. They are the Panda Republic. So that is an amazing name, and I'm very excited to see what the Panda Republic have to bring to the table. So far, they are banning away the Kazakhs.
Yeah, seeing Kazakhs taken away is definitely something we're expecting to see. We've got Kane also taken off the mix. That is another champion that has been completely fearful and almost remained untouched over the last, I guess you could say, 2 patches or so. Riven is not something very surprising to see. I mean, if you know how to play with her very well, you can essentially just box your way through to an easy victory by carrying your team.
And very solo dominant champion, and the double jungle bans as well as the Vayne, which I must admit is a little bit interesting. She did get touched this patch with a few nerfs as well as the Gwinsus, but evidently the Panda Republic still thinks to themselves, yeah, Vayne, we still just got to get rid of this champion. It's too risky to let through the pick ban.
I have to agree. I mean, Lulu is a very strong Enchantress support. She has that polymorph, the shield, as well as the overgrowth ulti, where they get an extra helping of health when they're forced into a fight. And if you put it on top of a champion, they do get that knockup, which gives them a bit more comfortability. So it's nice to see her, sitting on that bench.
And the banning of the Lulu also tells me that it simply say, hey, Panda, you're not allowed to play the hyper carry now. Lulu paired up with hyper carry is insane, but Hecarim is also insanely strong right now and slips his way through pick and ban to be first picked by Fairvale.
I'm not really surprised we're going to see Hecarim picked away immediately. I mean, he's a very strong contender. He's an S-rank tier champion. He's either going to be picked for jungle or top, depending on what the team lineup does, or he's going to be banned away. And it looks like we have the former of the 2 situations appearing on our screen. So good on him for getting him pretty early.
I love the fact they managed to grab him early, but I'm got him Panda Republic grabbing themselves a Kai'Sa early on, and the Jarvan that I was hoping to see as well. So they've grabbed themselves one of those really powerful junglers. Now, Ezreal is the immediate answer, though, after seeing the Kai'Sa lock in.
Oh, I cannot agree more. I mean, she is a nice champion that can go well in a 1v1 situation. She can lock them down pretty easily once she gets that Killer Instinct ulti online and she manages to tag him. But having a champion that can do well against her, or pre-6 with his W and his Arcane Barrage available, a lot more comfortability coming into this early match.
So yeah, he is now paired up with the Alistair on the bottom side, so we don't know what the support for the side of Panda Republic is. My first thoughts, whoa, I was gonna say first thought for a support would be Galio, but Katarina blind picked in from Panda Republic.
Now, seeing as she's just immediately blind picked herself into that lineup, I feel as though, I feel coming out from, Immortus, that he's really comfortable. Like, he's feeling secure about himself. He knows he's going to do well against whatever they're going to really throw at him. And looking at that, I think we're going to be seeing something a little bit odd. Like, we're going to see top lane and bottom lane trying to be a little bit more counter picky.
Well, not something we were expecting coming into this, surely, but it is what we are getting. The Veigar taken away, say, okay, Katarina does not want to do a Veigar, let's get rid of that one. Probably going to throw another mid-lane ban coming out of Panda Republic, but the Jax ban is kind of interesting here because it does still lean to the story. Hecarim can be flexed. It could end up going to the jungle or the top lane, so it'll be interesting to see where they do end up with this flex as Yasuo gets hit as well.
Yes, Yasuo getting taken away. That is definitely something we would always expect to see. He is a very strong champion, whether it be, picked or banned. And once he gets that, that 2-item power spike, it's essentially going to be very hard to try and play against anybody on that team, especially since Yasuo is known to actually roam around the map once hitting that point. And looking at the rest of this, we've got Sona and Jax taken away for the rest of the team. Very interesting bans we're seeing taken away.
And now we're seeing interesting picks as well. The Vladimir locked in, more than likely going to go to the top lane. Although, I suppose if you were feeling confident, you could flex Vladimir and the Katarina around. So we'll see by Panda Republic choose to do that. Akali, though, is the solution for one of these solo laners. So this is very exciting to see. And now, Fairvale, are you going to flex the Hecarim to top, or are they going to be flexing it to the jungle?
I feel as though it's going to be it's going to be determined on what Shami picks for their team. I mean, we see Akali, which is going to be flexed either mid or top. Actually, we're seeing him taking away Sion. So we're definitely going to be seeing a confident lineup of Akali versus Katarina mid lane. Two very interesting assassins that do really well into each other. The only difference I do mainly see between the two is that once Katarina hits level 6, I don't think it's really going to matter whether 88 Keys gets that Shroud online when she jumps on top. Mainly because that Fan of Knives ability can pretty much go straight through that Shroud, without a flaw. And this could really work well in Panda Republic's favor coming into, the first 15 minutes of this game.
It's explosive is what I'm kind of hoping out of this middle lane between the Katarina and the Akali, assuming that is, of course, where they're going to be going, because Sion to the top side of the map against the Vladimir, and something tells me it's going to be a bit of a rough lane for Sion as well. But given that he's a huge tank, he shouldn't struggle too much, right?
I don't believe so too much, no. But going up against the Vladimir, the major difference I do see between these two is that Vladimir has that range poking capability. He can also just drop to a pool of blood if Sion decides to lock down, on top of him, whether it's going to be his ultimate or, just getting that meat cleaver right on top with that knock up stun. It's still a little bit too early to tell between these two. Like, my only guess, or should I say my theory behind these two teams, is that we're going to be seeing Hecarim focusing middle and bottom, mainly because Sion is known to be that champion that's going to be ignored in the early portion. Like, he's going to be having a wet noodle fight against whoever he goes up against. And since we've got Vladimir versing off in top lane, it looks like they're both looking for a sustainability based lineup, or should I say strategy going. And Hecarim, Java 4 are going to be having a bit more of a standoff, whether it's going to be bottom or middle. I mean, I think you can agree when I say this, but they both do have a lot of pre-level 6 gap closing capabilities, which make them very viable junglers when coming into gank a lane. And their ability kit allows them to also clear farms quite easily. I mean, what are your thoughts on this, Iatos?
I look at the jungles because, like I said, I think the junglers are going to have the most impact in the first 15-ish minutes of the game. And while Hecarim is very capable of ganking, I just see Hecarim as needing a lot of setup. And specifically in the middle lane, which is where I'm going to be keeping my eye, I don't feel like the Hecarim is going to have the greatest of times, because sure, he can charge in, but Katarina is going to see him coming from a mile away. And Akali doesn't exactly have a ton of crowd control to lock him down. While on the other side, Jarvan sure does have similar issues, but with the flag and drag and the crowd control that he can pull out, I feel like the Jarvan, again, focusing purely on the middle lane, will have a bit more impact, assuming that that is the lane they decide to visit. Because, of course, the bottom lane is potentially a target as well, because while Ezreal's mobile, Alistar kind of lacks the escape mobility that his partner has.
That is true. He has the ability to go into a fight, but when it comes to getting out, it's completely absent. And when you compare it to Kaiser and Sheesh and Sheshe taking on Brom in bottom, I feel as though like they'll have the advantage if Alistair does get caught out. If Jarvan 4 does the flag and drag combo and past level 6 has that cataclysm where he manages to lock Alistair down, the only way Alistair is going to be able to get himself out of a pickle would be by flashing over, that cataclysm terrain that comes up when he's locked inside that box. That being said, I want to see Hecarim try to sort of, keep toe to toe with Barak, considering they're both really good, roaming base champions. They'll be able to get to lane. They'll be able to get from A to B much more comfortably, much more quicker. I feel as though Hecarim will have that advantage, but like as you said about Jarvan 4, he has that flag and drag capability. He can lock down Akali if he decides to go down mid lane. Katarina, yes, she doesn't really have so much of an escape, but that's only if there is nothing for her to shampoo back onto if she's too deep. I mean, you can agree with me when I say that Hecarim can still catch her out. He does have that, CC capability, mainly to do with his ulti. But if Katarina's already got a ward sitting near her turret, or at least minions walking towards lane, she will be able to get out quite comfortably. So I think we'll be looking to see 88 Keys try and encourage Akali to sort of like over push herself a little bit and allow Hecarim to try and get in from behind and deny her the ability to just jump out of the way and get away from anything he has, in store for her.
And that's definitely a way they can try and force that gank, and that's kind of what I want to see, because Hecarim may not have the explosiveness of a Jarvan gank, at least pre-6, but it can definitely still work. And this middle lane, I mean, we've all played enough League of Legends to know that when an assassin like Katarina or Akali gets ahead significantly in a game, it's very, very difficult to play around that champion if you're facing it, because it's much I can press 3 buttons and now you're dead. So get the hell away from every single neutral objective, and you can't really contest if you don't have proper vision lines established. So I feel like this middle lane could potentially be explosive. And when you look at the rest of the lanes, top lane you mentioned before, bit of a sustain game, and on the bottom side, I'm a little worried that Kai'Sa, the fact that she wants to scale, is going to sort of put a damper on the fact that Braum is potentially going to be looking to try force some fights.
Exactly, and it's interesting that you say, once Katarina gets online, like once she at least finishes that Hextech Gunblade, she does become a affordable opponent, and since her passive enables her to reduce the remaining cooldowns on all of her abilities by I think almost 50%. Like once she starts getting those takedowns, it can get very close to a near ace for the opposition, and I feel as though Fairvale High will be in a bit of a pickle if they don't really put her under control. Like Hecarim getting that ulti right on top of her before she even tries anything, and then Akali to try and execute her before anything happens. You've even got Sion's, Steam Train Ultimate, where he just comes in and just knocks her up. If she's not very careful, it could really spell a bit of a tough situation for Panda Republic, as
Panda,
I feel as though they're
sorry,
going to be working around her a little bit.
I do agree with you. I was going to say Panda. One concern I've got with their lineup is a lack of traditional frontline. They've got fantastic ways to start forcing fights with the Braum and the Jarvan. If they're behind, I'm just a little concerned because I've seen far too many teams fall behind in the mid to early game, running a tankless sort of composition, and then just sort of fall apart as a result. So it's a little concerning to start seeing this in the drafting phase.
Yeah, and having this initial startup, it's nice to see that we've got everybody ready and online. Just about they've pretty much got their items ready. They know exactly what they're going to do, and they're just going to just spire out onto the map immediately and look for a potential pick by the feels of it.
Yeah, to see what they can try force their way out of. I think. So we'll be ready to go. We're ready to load in very shortly, but I do want to get your opinions on this, Reinhard, as my client is completely frozen. God damn it.
We're just having a slight little mishap just with the initial startup to this stream, but it's like repeating that question again. I didn't quite hear you very well in my headset. Could you repeat it again for me, please?
What I was going to ask was, looking at the lineups that we've got in this particular matchup, what are you feeling? Like, which team do you feel like came out of the draft ahead?
Looking at this current draft, I feel as though that we're going to see, based around these two junglers, we might be looking to see wherever they decide to go, or whichever lanes they decide to focus on, is pretty much how they're going to try and set the early game. And I'm really curious to see, because we don't really know too well about how they're going to go about things. Like as you said, from Team Panda, they do lack a bit of frontline capabilities. Like yes, they have Jarvan 4 with the Cataclysm, but apart from that, it would really come down to whether they can actually catch out people. Because if they can lock down that Katarina, like I said before, it's really going to spell a disastrous engage and potentially be a complete ace for Panda Republic.
And that's the question of how they're going to go in those fights. Because there's a ton of CC that both teams are capable of bringing to the table. So it's a matter of, I think, who pulls the trigger first. And the person who pulls the trigger first is typically the person who's got far superior vision control, specifically around objectives, because you can force the enemy team to come to you rather than just starting a fight over any one objective.
That is absolutely true. Getting that vision control, for your team can be, I'd say, is really vital for the early portion of the game. If you can try and maintain, vision in River, that would be incredible. Because you'll be able to tell whether your jungler is going to be, where the enemy jungler is going to be ganking or invading in the bottom half or the top half. And as well, it gives your team that indicator that you can either make a play for Herald buff if the enemy jungler is in bottom half, or whether you're going to try and go for a dragon, or even better yet, counter jungle. If, let's say, for example, Fox playing Hecarim is, over on top side, and he's decided to try and gank right on top of Panda. It really comes down to how the junglers position themselves and whether they can remain in the shadows for as long as possible, right up until they know where their enemy counterpart is, then make themselves known. Because I feel as though with these current changes that, River Scuttle won't be spawning till 3 minutes 15, which does change up a little bit and allows both junglers to either, get more camp clearing in their kit before trying to contest a River Scudder, or whether they're actually going to try and counter jungle prior to this. I mean, it really, like I said, it really comes down to how these junglers decide to play themselves out.
Indeed. The vertical jungle is also something that I'm going to be very interested in seeing. So, because the vertical jungle is one of these scenarios where you can get caught out if you're misplaying it horribly. So you can get, if you're misplaying it, you're going to get caught out of position and potentially get collapsed on and die. So it's one of these scenarios where you have to be coordinated, not just with your team, but just a really good state of awareness when it comes to what is actually happening around the map, with the macro decision making that your team is making. And to do that, you need a really, really good shot caller.
That is true. I mean, if your team can, like, if you have a really good shot caller in your team, it could really make things, easier for your team to sort of like, work on their macro management a little bit better. Like, yes, you've got micro skills that, you can farm pretty easily. You can, look at the mini map and try and see how your team is doing. But if someone's actively telling you everything that you need to know, then it's like you pretty much make it easier to focus on what's important, prior to the mid game phase.
Exactly, and it'd be super interesting to see with this shot calling, like, who is making the decisions, because we don't know who is making the decisions, but typically the decision making comes from players who are in the support role. So mechanically, sometimes the champions are a bit more relaxed, and you can be a lot more focused around what is happening around the map. As we are finally loaded into game, and it looks like neither jungler is pulling any early shenanigans, as they both started on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, like it's interesting. We're seeing them both focus bottom side. They've cleared a majority of their camps. But looking at what's available on there, looking at what's available, we see that Grumps are still, active and on screen for Hecarim, whereas Javan4 has taken out his Grump, he's taken out his Wolves, he's working his way up to the top half, and I think we might see an early gank coming towards Katarina. Like, we see him charging towards it now. We see the ping. This is going to be something interesting, Yartos.
It could be, but there was a ward sitting in this side lane brush there. So Barak, unfortunately, while it was a good attempt, he does get caught out of position, actually, and is forced to flag and jag. 88 keys forced to dash away as well, but going right back into the gauge, flashing in over the wall. Barak getting out alive with a sliver of HP. The red buff securing the kill, however, and now Immortal is forced to flash out of danger. A really good 2v2 engage coming out of Fox and 88 keys.
Yeah, and at 3 minutes 15, we finally have our first blood. Like, kudos to them, and I'm really interested in Mortius is going to get caught out again.
The Ignite just dropped in an easy pickup.
That was a little bit surprising, but then again, at the same time, I feel as though she should have been a little bit more careful. Hecarim was alive. He had more than half health available. He just made himself known. He wouldn't have been able to actually get far. That I feel as though she should have stayed back for at least another 10 seconds, because like those 10 seconds that you delay going in for another fight gives you a little bit more comfortability that, you'll know whether your jungler is going to be, the enemy jungler is actually going to be far away or still near. The fact that she still lacks that vision control, she has no wards available in her kit. She hasn't really got anything to sort of like give that ability to jump around. So I gotta say, give a round of applause to 88 Keys for securing that easy kill, just popping that Ignite after getting her critically low.
Really aggressive, and I really like to see that. So it's one of these scenarios where it's the middle lane. We talked about the potential explosiveness, and now Hecarim, a champion that loves to snowball, and Akali, an assassin, have both grabbed themselves one kill apiece, sitting a significant chunk of gold ahead of their opponents this early on into the game, about 500 for each of them, which, when it comes to the early game, can allow them to, try and force objectives, try force riskier ganks, purely because they'll have an item advantage over the opposite numbers.
Yeah, and just looking at how both of these junglers are pathing themselves and how aggressive we're seeing Immortius just like charging around in mid lane, just trying to force those engages, getting that electrocute proc, really looking for the opportunity to try and make a comeback. I mean, she did go down. She did loot a bit of CSing opportunities, and she's lost a bit of XP as well when compared to 88 Keys, that I feel as though we're going to see something a little bit extra. Like, we're seeing Javan4 coming mid lane once again. The bottom team coming out from Fairvale, like, they're already making themselves, they've already connected up with their jungler, and they're already looking to try and make a play somewhere.
Could potentially be on the bottom side of the map so far. The Ezreal, while a little bit down in CS, is doing a really good job to try and keep some pressure on. But actually, the gank's in the mid lane. Fox trying to force it into a Mortius, but the Akali not really in position to make the follow-up.
No, and like as you mentioned in Champion Select, they have a Katarina can do well getting out of a fight, and from what we've seen just then, she's actually managed to get herself out quite cleanly. Like Jarvan 4 is nearby, she's got that extra assistance. It is no longer a 1v1; it's become a 2v1. And I gotta give it to Barrack for making himself known mid quite often. The only thing that I find like a little bit disappointing is that he's not really being rewarded for going there. Like, yes, he's soaking up XP from minions going down around him, but he's also taken that away from Katarina, and Katarina was already behind. Like, I feel as though if this keeps up, this could really spell a bit more of a favorable advantage for Fairvale coming into the mid game point.
And Fairvale is doing a good job of absorbing pressure in the middle lane. Barak visited once again to try and get this Katarina ahead. Fairvale, like, they need to keep playing it safe. Actually, talking about safe, though. 88 keys going in. The Death Lotus is getting into the Ignite is going down. A couple more taps will get it, but not able to secure the kill. Fox arriving to keep his mid laner alive. But once again, we see Brock visiting the mid again. These junglers might as well be playing discount supports because they are visiting mid so much.
It's interesting that you call them discount supports. I'm feeling the same vibe coming out from these two. Like, at 6 minutes 50, they've probably made themselves known at least 4 to 5 times, and we've only really seen one capitalized moment coming out from, from every single fight, which is really odd to see. And I feel as though they should really focus on being a little bit more passive.
I think that might be a kill.
That. Yeah,
Shammy survives, and that's, I guess, the credit to Sion playing as well, an unkillable Sion as always.
He's used up his shield so effectively that he actually managed to soak damage.
Ooh, Engage coming on the bottom side. However, they are going off a Panda. They need to kill this Kite to get it down behind early. Fox is finally visiting another lane with that unstoppable onslaught, is able to get them knocked out. GA taken down, and Fox grabbing himself 2 kills. Hecarim 3-0-1 right now.
This is just looking very scary. Fox has got 3 kills. He's got a 300 gold bounty. He's gone middle at 4 times. He's managed to get at least 1 kill there. He's gotten an assist as well to top it off. And now he's just helped his team get far ahead. Immortius is going way too deep. Look at his positioning. He's got all the minions working against him. He's got 88 keys just shadowing on top.
Ooh, Death Lotus coming out immediately, and 88 keys doesn't actually get out of the range. He thinks he can kill him. Misses it. Oh, the Ezreal snipe, though. Cool Panda grabs that kill away from 88. Says, nah, bro, I did all the hard work for that.
And just like that, now Ezreal is flying ahead. Just Cool Panda is really working against Panda. Really showing how much cooler he is playing as Ezreal in response. Taking him into this matchup when he knew Kai'Sa was, picked first. I feel as though this is going to work really well for their team. And, Ezreal is that type of champion that he needs items to come online. And since he's not only got the kill and assist advantage, he's getting close to actually going far ahead in general. Like, he has that gold accumulation working well in his favor. He managed to get an easy kill mid lane, which has opened up not only advantage for him, but also for 88 keys, because he stayed there in lane the entire time Immortius was absent. Like, the death timer, the run back to lane, it all just works up.
Oh, 88 keys might be in a bit of trouble. A lovely side step to dodge. The perfect execution is available, but they choose not to try and force that ulti, as Fox and Barak are both around the mid lane once again, Reinhardt. This, I mean, if I had a feeling that this mid lane was the focus point for both these teams in pick and ban, I'm very happy to be proven right so far. We've had so much mid lane proximity from these junglers. It's a little ridiculous.
I know, Iatos. It's just absolutely crazy. It's almost a dead standoff.
Ooh, but the standoff may be broken on the bottom side of the map as Fox coming in to visit once again. CC landing on the Panda. Can they lock down the Kai'Sa is the real question. Onslaught of Shadows not being used just yet. Flash actually to hunt down their kill, and now Barak arriving, but I feel like it's too little too late. They can't kill the Hecarim. Fox too damn tanky right now. Cataclysm, and he'll saving his life. The topside ganker, Mortius grabbing himself his first kill of the game onto Shammy, but the bottom side is not going well for the side of Panda Republic.
And what made it even worse is that we saw an invade coming in from Immortius, decided sacrificing a bit of pressure and ability mid lane by going up top and helping Panda actually claim another kill, his first kill top. So even though she's not exactly doing very well mid, she's trying to make it up by going elsewhere. And I feel as though that's not exactly going to work well in their favor, because the trade-off is still working way too much in favor of 88 Keys. Like, yes, Sion went down, but he's not exactly going to be applying a lot of pressure for the team coming to, the mid-game scenario where we're going to see more objectives. We're going to see items completing from everybody. That's like Katarina really needs to start looking for, other reasons to come about, mainly in lane. Like, yes, she'll be able to run around, but that's not really going to work well because she's sort of, going to put her teammates behind if they're not really careful. Like, the only thing I find that was really, I guess you could say, working well in their favor was that Sion's teleport was on cooldown. So him dying and having to run back to lane enabled Panda to actually sit there, soak up extra XP in CS, like we saw mid lane, and just try and, gain that advantage. Like, every single little, piece that you chip away from your enemy counterpart when it comes to, lane phase is really going to help you coming into mid game. And just so looking at how these two are going, it's just amazing.
Yeah, and so far it's going definitely in favor of Fairvale. The bottom lanes have secured a large number of turret platings. As might come back a little bit as there's a gank coming in to Immortius. He's a little bit out of position, forced to flash his way out of danger, and Barak once again in that middle lane. But the goal difference between these two teams is something that is utterly insane right now. It's like the difference between the bottom laners, there's 4,800 gold on the Ezreal compared to the 36,000 as Panda is trying to force something onto Shammy, but I just don't think he has the actual damage. And yeah, forced to back away is Fox, showing himself showing himself on the top side, looking at that Rift Herald potentially.
He is looking towards that Rift Herald just as much as we're seeing 88 Keys going a little bit too heavy, going into no man's land, trying to, invade Barracks' jungle. Like, he's really trying to defend himself. And what we saw before, like Shammy just taking so much damage from Panda, an entire combo plus extras, and yet he's still at half health. It's really beginning to show that Sion is just getting closer to completely coming online for his team. He is known to be a split pusher as well as a very strong early game tank. And as I speak, the Herald goes down. So yes, now we're going to see something a little bit extra coming out from Fox. Like he's going to use the advantage or the buff to get himself back to base, come out to lane much sooner. I wonder where he's going to pop it. Like, considering how much we've seen him made himself known mid in response to Barak, we might actually see Herald pop down mid and secure an easy first turret.
It's definitely an option. We'll have to see where they choose to go, as Cool Panda firing a lot of damage off, not exactly on target for just yet, but the Dragon is also a potential look, as we are seeing the size of Fairvale roaming down to the Dragons, clearing out the wards, and it would make a lot of sense right now for Fox to decide to come and visit this bottom side. They're doing very well on the bottom lane with a dominant side. Is actually 88 Keys popping the first half of the perfect execution. He's going in for Barak, but one more hit will do it surely to God. He needs to get out. The Ignite is being dropped, and the Gunblade active being used to grab himself a kill, but another potential turnaround, but it's a full stacks onto the Katarina. There's so much CC, she's not allowed to move.
And at 13 minutes 20, 2 kills taken down for their team. 88 Keys completely online. Just look how much she managed to pop the Ignite, pop the Bilgewater Cutlass straight on top of Java 4 to completely take away an easy kill. It was really unfortunate that she actually popped her second portion of her ulti a little bit prematurely. I mean, he flashed to get out of there, so did she, but, popping it a little bit earlier than expected. I feel as though she should have used Ignite while in that fight before, getting that execute going. Like, yes, it still worked in her favor, but I feel as though she would have been able to get the kill a lot sooner, and that could really spell a good advantage for their team. But from what we saw before, it doesn't really matter. Like, they've managed to completely capitalize on taking down Jarvan 4 and Katarina and take away their first dragon of the game, which is coincidentally an Ocean Dragon.
And this Ocean Dragon is going to be the saving grace for Shammy's in top lane. If he was struggling before with the amount of harassment coming out from the first Panda, he should be fine now. He's got plenty of magic resistance, plenty of HP to keep him going, and now the sustain game is ironically against Vladimir in a way, as potentially he may just go down. You can't sustain if you're dead, and Panda needs to try to get out, but AA Keys has trying to hunt him down, but there is no perfect execution, no ultis available for either champion, so he's able to get away alive, and in fact, a potential turnaround is here as Panda stepping up. Now they realize they're potentially in trouble. It looks like Shammy is trying to be the sacrificial lamb, but I don't think it's going to be enough, as they are hunting down Keys. They take him down, the shutdown going over to Vladimir, and Shammy's will fall as well. A double kill for Panda.
And just like that, Barracks coming into lane to try and counter both of them really worked well in their favor. They managed to get 2 clean kills out of that. I have no idea what Fox was thinking. He was nowhere near top lane at the time. He was still running around in the river. If he decided to go top lane, we could have seen a different result, but unfortunately that's not really the case. Like, he's really put his team back just by a little bit in that scenario. Like we see bottom, top, and mid, sort of forced to try and reset a little bit. But bottom lane, it looks like they don't really have any trouble whatsoever. They've just taken their first turret just after the 15-30 minute mark, or just before, and they're really flying in line for the team. I fear that Panda and Share are going to be, forced to get a little bit of extra help from their team, as I think we're going to see a switch happening soon between these top and bottom laners, depending on how they decide to conduct themselves.
Well, so far, it doesn't look like they are setting themselves up for a lane swap potentially, as Sion has just walked his way back to the top side. But what is also going to be interesting to see, Rift Herald is almost expired, so now we have to find out where are they going to actually drop that, because I still agree with what you said before. The middle lane is probably the most ideal place to drop it, but they're running out of time. Yeah,
I like just seeing how he's held onto it for so long, and the only major benefit you have from having it in your trinket slot is that the recall cooldown timer is like reduced to half.
Oh, so they do jump at mid as Eddie going and forcing at the bottom coming out of... Oh my lord, the damage! He basically just executes the Katarina, and now they are trying to fight it off, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The Hecarim is insanely powerful. Bracco Swag's going to get out of there. He gets out for a double kill. GA is running for his life. He should be able to get out alive as the Rift Herald and all man on deck. The only man not available is Shammy, but they're going to go in. Panda forced to use the killer instinct to try and get out alive, but perfect execution. Round 2 is on, but never mind. Fox is going in, hunting down the king of the animal kingdom, picks up 2 kills on the Panda and his supporters. The other Panda arrived from the top lane, but it's not going to be enough. That's 2 turrets down.
Yeah, definitely. 2 turrets down and 4 easy kills for Hecarim. Vladimir, why are you in that deep? You are really in no man's land. You're running further into enemy territory. You're essentially just delaying the inevitable. Like, look at Eddie Keys.
He's trying to proxy the wave. He just wants the minions, man. But I don't think it'll be enough as we start having Immortius go and a heal and flash forced out, but he does get a lot as Sopa is trying to get some vengeance, but you are a support, you do no damage. He gets taken out, and while all that happened, Panda from the top lane also gets out alive.
It's really surprising. Like, I didn't actually expect Panda to get out of that so flawlessly. I saw Eddie Keys chase after him, but then we decided to divert our attention towards middle, where we saw an unfortunate execute. And for the comedy relief of what we just saw, Sion just ulties to get away from top lane and enabled himself to like sort of reset his team a little bit. He's managed to apply a lot of pressure, which is what I want to highlight from that onslaught, or should I say the upfront assault or the side lane push that we saw coming out from Shammy. He's really doing well to try and compensate for the lack of team, I guess you could say the team cooperation he's putting in for Fairvale High.
Indeed, so see how Shammy is able to go so far. Zilli, the top lane is flashing over the wall. The instant follow-up. Fox is not fooled by your flash. Once he gets the smell of his target, he goes in, he gets every kill.
Oh, and just what makes it even more favorable for Fox is that he's always getting that Conqueror on. And from what we saw earlier, that Conqueror is proving to be his biggest lifesaver. He's always managing to get some health back, regardless what he does when he goes in for a fight. He's managed to get 2 clean kills earlier when he invaded to get down Katarina with that complete charge, but apart from that, he's actually doing well to catch out people and clean them up, like what we just saw when he took down Immortius just outside of his tier 1 mid turret.
I mean, Fox is playing super proactively, and he is being the beneficiary of it. 10, 1, and 2, a 300 gold bounty, and the Trinity Force ready to rumble as well. He's had that for a little bit, as grabbing himself a Cloud Dragon, which I imagine as a Hecarim has got to feel good.
Oh, he would definitely feel good. I mean, when you know your passive gives you extra attack damage based on the bonus movement speed you have, I can only imagine he's pretty much just... He's really loving himself is pretty much the best way I could summer it. And he's already a monster for his team, and it's only getting worse. 10, 1, and 2. He's got that completed Trinity Force. He is almost completely online for his team. Based on his item collection, he's going to be going for that Sterix gauge that... This could be working really favorable and be a pre-25-minute game based on how active they are. Shammy is taking a lot of damage, and he's barely even feeling it.
Exactly. Shammy on this tank is like, all right, 1 versus 2. Let's go, buddy. I got this. But What is super interesting, you mentioned before about the Cloud Dragon being beneficial for Fox. Oh, actually, come back to that in a little bit, as we're seeing Shammy trying to force the fight under turret. He is not able to get any hard CC landing just yet, but they do scrap into the Fox now diving into the backline. Immediately deletes the Katarina. That's her job normally, buddy. But he does take him out. Fox, however, does get traded 1-for-1. Panda diving into his own backline with the ulti, but the chase does not look there too much. Noodles is locked in by the CC chain, and now he will get taken out. The potential turnaround is not coming out from the side of the Panda Republic. They'll hunt down Shammy as well, and a little bit of an over push. Fairvale, maybe want to try looking at pulling it back a little bit. You're ahead, but not that far. Oh, that beautiful snipe coming out of Cool Panda, though. Turns it around just a little.
The second ulti coming out from Cool Panda playing as Ezreal was just absolutely astounding. First, we saw it mid lane to take down Katarina from baseline. This time, we see it from just inside their own red jungle. Really interesting, really nice, and I'm loving this action. Like, he is really giving us a show to really look towards. Like, Shammy's really impressing us with his own show, but it's really nice to see that, you know, Cool Panda is really popping up for his team, and like he's applying a lot of pressure. What the heck was that?
That is called Katarina with 1.5 items, Reinhardt. And I mean, like I said, we've all seen a challenge. We've all seen a Katarina when she gets fed. This is not really as fed Katarina as you were hoping, but still pretty powerful Katarina.
Oh, that is definitely true, Iartos. Just, we see both with the completed Hextech Gunblade. We see Oblivion ults on both sides. The major difference I'm seeing between the two is that Akali is just like flying ahead. She is applying so much for her team. She's trying to make herself known in team fights a little bit more often. That this is working too well.
Oh, talk about those team fights. It may be kicking off. A lovely two-man headbutt pulverize out of Noodles should win in the fight. The Hecarim diving in as well. Katarina has no ultimate view. He's using it now, but it's not going to be enough. She gets taken down. They trade mid lane for mid lane, but the rest of the fight is definitely looking inside of Fairvale. They are jumping over the opposite numbers. A flash over the wall to keep themselves hunting him down. A double kill for the races, and Fox may want to hunt him down. I see no reason why he won't, but sees the turret. No, he's going for this. He really wants to grab himself this kill, and enough damage to do so. Fox grabbing his 14th kill of the game.
You know, every time I see a Hecarim get incredibly fed, incredibly huge, I just want to make the issue with Firelab, and it's just nice. He's really chasing for that Melbourne Cup. He really wants to earn this victory for his team, and he's really showing us, like, how much damage he can really do, how effective a Hecarim can be when played in the right hands. Like 14-2-2, 450 gold bounty, compared to a 1, 5, and 6 Jarvan 4, who's really being punished. Like, we're getting to that point where we're seeing Vladimir coming online a little bit more for the team. Katarina's looking for some clean kills. She's beginning to make up for her early game lackage. Meanwhile, bottom team, like mainly Cool Panda, is just flying ahead, and he's just like, I'm seeing a lot of advantage players coming out from Fairvale High. That the only major area I see coming out from them is that they're getting caught out. Like, we saw Akali get caught out. We saw, well, Shammy's more or less just like being the sacrificial lamb for his team when getting away, as we saw before in top lane. But apart from that, they are really controlling this game. They have the map control. They are lacking a little bit of vision from what we can see on the minimap, but that's nothing short of, you know, how collective they are when they come together for a team fight. I mean, Iartos, this is just looking like a complete jam-packed grand slam, and I'm loving this.
Oh, it's a great time, and part of that is, I know some people are looking at it, it's like, oh, but the Kai'Sa's out farming the Ezreal. The difference is actually there might be a skirmish on top side. Panda, though, should be able to get out of this one just fine. Dropping the Hemo Plague, actually going in for a bit of trading, but Shammy now no longer wants a part of this. Realizes, wait, you got too much healing. I don't want to be part of this. I gotta go. But while he's running away, Baron startup, and it could potentially be secured. But they are aware now and backing away. Really good sense out of Fairvale not to try push the envelope twice.
No, they're not trying to push the envelope twice, but at the same time, they've done well to actually herd the majority of Panda Republic towards Baron Pit. Look what Akali's doing. She's completely backdooring. She's side laning instead of what Sion is. Like, Sion's back in lane. It's a 3v4 wet noodle fight between these two teams. If somebody gets caught out by Panda Republic, it could spell a near ace. Panda is also singing himself top lane. It is really odd to see.
He's just going in for this. He wants to try and get the kill, but does he have the damage? No, he does not. Perfect execution, however, not used. Still has that ultimate, but Keys may be in trouble now. Panda going in and grabbed himself a solo kill. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, looks like they're going for a bit more trade. Cool Panda gets taken out. Immortius is running for his life, but Fox hunting down his prey. Is he going to get enough CC? No, the Cataclysm ironically saving Immortius there, but Hecarim going in to try to chase down the kill. The Cow trying to buy as time what he can as Barrack CC coming down. Shammy's running them down as well. The Hecarim coming in from potentially the flank as Barracks is trying to run for his life, but Fox running into Panda. Unfortunately, the King of the Animal Kingdom looks like it might be the Panda in this one as Fox goes in, takes out the Vladimir, but gets traded a 1-for-1 trade. But the turnaround potentially may be there as Panda is going in from Swag. They are hunting down the Cow. They are hunting down the Scion. The CC train coming in now. Is it going to be enough damage as this Scion is just so goddamn tanky? I don't think they actually have the damage to kill him. They're hunting him down. Brock gets deleted. And Shammy is the last man standing. The king of the court, if you will. This Scion gives no damns about your damage.
I don't think we're seeing proper team fights. We're just seeing sneaky kills left, right. Coming in from Alistair. He's running behind. He's staying outside of team fight range. He comes in for a sneaky little cleanup right on top of Barrack. Then we see Hecarim flash to try and take down Panda pretty easily. Gets taken down by the other Panda, Kaiser, nonetheless. And Katarina is just like doing well, focusing down Cool Panda. We're seeing, I just realized we're seeing a lot of pandas on this map. I feel as though we're on a zoo trip, people.
We really are in a zoo trip. We've got double pandas. We've got a fox somewhere hanging around in there. We've got noodles in a cell for some reason. I'm not exactly sure on why that one, but they'll grab themselves the second ocean dragon of this game. Fairvale now have all the sustain that they should need to properly set up around the likes of the Baron. So we'll see what they can do in the poke war, but Panda and 88 Keys getting involved, but Fox joins the fight as well, and this could potentially be disastrous for Vladimir, trying to get himself out alive. The onslaught of Shadows, though, not able to lock down Panda using that flash to get out alive.
No, that flash really saved him in that time. I believe we saw Flashback unfavorable and then charged right on top of Panda for an easy kill. This time we see the opposite response. He flashes to get out. So not much of a revenge, but oh no, Noodles.
Oh, Noodles working very far forwards, but he should be able to get out alive. They do not want to run into the Ezreal. Ezreal currently sitting on 3 items, this magic penetration boots as well. So they don't want to risk taking that much damage. And there we go. We just see it firsthand. Immorty has taken about a third of his HP just chunked away from one combo.
Yeah, I was actually about to point that out earlier. Just seeing Hecarim charge in with that Sheen available in his kit, just charging right on top, almost taking down Panda altogether. I was absolutely ecstatic, surprised and scared all at the same time that Fox is one very large horsey, and we could see a very favorable response happening from Fairvale.
Oh, wow. We're seeing a stack on the bottom side, though. This could potentially mean Baron. They're going to be able to get themselves 88 keys, but that should be just a Baron handed over. You cannot afford to commit 3 members to a kill and not have anyone going around the objective like that. We're seeing Shammy try and delay Panda, but we are seeing the Baron being started up 7,000 HP, but Barak is nearby, so we could potentially contest.
We could see a good contesting. We see everybody from Panda Republic really collapsing on top of them. They are a few men down.
He's gonna go in. Can he steal it? He gets knocked out though. Beautiful flashes over the wall. Can he secure it? No, he does not. Fox grabbing himself the team, the Baron. A multi-man onslaught of Shadows now, but can they turn it around? Panda has arrived from the back line, and it looks like, ironically, Fairvale, despite grabbing Baron buff, may simply get wiped out. Fox trying to hunt down his target. He gets the kill onto Panda. GA now forcing away, and one man gets away with the Baron buff. Fox, the man who started it all.
And at 28 minutes 25, that is a complete favorable team fight in favor of... I guess actually, it feels like it was more of a draw between the two. We saw them take down Baron, which was nice. They did lose 4 members of their team at least. Hecarim got away cleanly. He does have that Baron available.
It is going in for a kill here. He really wants this. He's got perfect execution available. Grabs himself the support. He's like, all right, let's dance, Panda. I got a Marilyn Omicron. I can stop your healing. There's not much you can do here, buddy. He's trying to heal up where he can. Flashes away, actually, trying to keep himself safe. Fox is like, hey, 88 keys. You did a good job getting him low. You wouldn't mind if I take this for you real quick, would you?
Yeah, I'm running a little bit low. I need a little bit of a helping hand. So can you just charge in here, get a clean kill? He's really annoying. And it's really nice. I feel like that was a very prolonged team fight. Yes, we see it start over at Baron Pit, but then we see a respawn charge coming out.
88 Keys might be in trouble, but Immorty is forced up as well. Keys getting out alive, but there's so many skirmishes coming out, it seems, that ironically don't result in death.
No, it's looking very clean cut between these two teams. It's getting to that point now that if one member gets caught out, it could spell a disastrous, unfavorable turnaround. And from what we've seen, Fairvale have still been getting caught out almost left, right, and center. Like we see Shammy get caught top, but that's no problem. He's got a lot of health. Ezreal and Alistair, on the other hand, are the unfortunate ones. Mainly Ezreal, because Immortius, it's really hunting him down. He really wants to make sure that Cool Panda does not get himself online for a team fight. It's really odd. Like, it's a bit of a wet noodle fight between these two teams. Someone goes down. It still works mainly in favor of how the both teams decide to work themselves. They've got a lot of tankiness on both sides. They've got a lot of upfront engage. 88 Keys, a highlight figure for his team. Just being able to, go into a prolonged team fight or just go into a prolonged fight long enough to be able to set up Fox for a complete clean kill.
And so far, we are seeing the side of Fairvale setting themselves up around the Nexus, inhibitor turret. Wow, I need new glasses apparently, but they're not committing to a dive, which I think is the right decision. With Baron buff in that middle lane, you have no obligation to try and force the fight necessarily. So I love seeing the side of Fairvale. They're trying to take it slow, trying to take it controlled, and I'm hoping it does net them a couple turrets, because while they are sitting on about a 7,000 gold advantage, if they can get themselves a 10k lead, they're going to be in a nearly unstoppable position. But they've got to get there, and to do that, they need to crack open the base.
That is true, and from what we're seeing happening from Fairvale, we're seeing a 1-3-1 split happening to try and apply pressure across all lanes. They have the Baron buff.
Oh, I think Glacial Fissure being dropped super early. Immortius, though, might get followed up by 88. He does flash himself to safety, but while all that's happened, they secured themselves the inhibitor turret, but Fairvale being very cautious, and I think actually may just elect not even risk going for the inhibitor itself. Simply, backing away. They've got to be so careful. One engage goes badly, and they could potentially lose so much.
It's a game of dodgeball between these two teams. We also have a gentleman's agreement happening in bottom with 88 Keys, and I believe we saw Immortius almost take him out. So I feel as though we need to see a little bit more caution coming out from 88 Keys, whereas the rest of the team, when we go into a team fight, this could actually work well in their favor. Like, Hecarim is so online for his team, it's not even funny. 88 Keys with that Shroud, as long as they manage to dodge Immortius, it could work well in their favor. And what makes this really unpredictable right now is that we're seeing a lot of comeback coming from Panda Republic. Like, Immortius is online for his team. He's able to dish out a lot of damage. You've got the Zhonya's Hourglass. She can actually use her Fan of Knives while that Shroud is active. So 88 Keys is not safe anywhere while in that vicinity. That it really comes down to, being able to lock down at least one member and clean it away. If Cool Panda stays in the back line and baits out Immortius long enough for his team to actually collapse on top, this could really work. This could be their game-winning moment. This could be their trump card they need. This is the winning condition that they need to work towards.
Well, I don't know if that is able to work for them. I think it definitely is, and Panda on the bottom side is now online. 3 items sitting on the Akali's. Top Panda is in a lot of trouble. 88 Keys hunting him down with that Morellonomicon and getting a lot of damage out, but he does no longer have an ultimate and is now getting multi-man ganked. So 88 Keys needs to be so careful, but I don't see a world he gets out of this one alive. Simply gets run down, and really good job out of Panda Republic to catch him out of position, because Fairvale, they can't take anything as a result.
No, they cannot. They've managed to herd everybody from Panda Republic towards top lane. So 88 Keys has done well to be, the shepherd amongst the flock. But what's really a disadvantage for their team is that the level of pressure they've applied while this is happening is not enough. Like, the trade-off is still working in favor of Panda Republic.
I mean, they're going in for Shammy, but they need to know this is not going to happen. But on the meanwhile, in the middle lane, they are going in. Fox diving himself forward. The exhaust drop immediately. Do they have the damage? Yes, they do. Force is not enough. Barak forced to get his way to safety. I don't know if he's going to burn down. They are now going on to Shammy, but I don't think it's enough, as they are hunting down their opposite numbers. The Hecarim dives into the backline, says, thank you very much for that one. I'll sneak me a kill real quick. Cool Panda in a good position now. 3, 3, and 12. Lord Dominic's Regard now sitting in his inventory, as Shammy didn't even die to that 2-man pylon before, and they might even lose the inhibitor because of it.
I feel as they're going to lose not 1, but 2 inhibitors, and they're really going to be forced to sit in their base. Like, if we might even see a potential, Nexus, at least 1 Nexus turret going down. They got a lot of pressure to apply, but if they can manage to lock down Immortius and prevent those Fan of Knives...
That's teleport. They really are going for this now. 2-man CC chain coming up. The Katarina not able to do anything, as Panda now getting hunted down to his own base right here. He is safe on the fountain. So they grab themselves 2 turrets. They should be looking to end the game right here and now. They are doing what they can to fight it off, but it's simply not enough. The CC chain coming out of the Hecarim is simply far too much. 23 and 7 as The Nexus is now under fire, and it looks like Fairvale maybe they'll take the game. Fox, a couple more hits will do it. They are actually getting cut down. They need to be a little careful, but that is gonna be the game, and all she wrote, Fairvale take the game over Kingsgrove North.
And closing the book on that final chapter, Fairvale making a complete cleanup. They managed to take down 3 members from Panda Republic. They managed to push all the way into base, and it was really favorable. We saw them try and bait out Immortius. Cool Panda managed to stay away just long enough, or just outside of her dash range, to be able to lock her down. And from what we saw, Fox and Alistair completely just continuously charging into her, trying to get that chain CC going. That in the end, it was just absolutely favorable. And from what we saw, they really managed to, play in that moment, keep going, and completely win the game. They had so much tankiness, so much damage absorption in their kit that it wasn't even funny that no matter how much Panda Republic tried and clean them up, ace them to try and save themselves a Nexus, it just did not work well for them. And that was just really unfavorable.
Indeed, and it's one of those unfortunate scenarios where, as we look at the damage graph, Panda Republic ironically had the highest DPS player. That involves going to the Vladimir. But when you think about it, Vladimir into a Scion, he's going to look his numbers a little bit perhaps inflated, because Scion just sort of has to take the damage in the early game. But he came online when we got around, and of course became very, very difficult to kill when even after multi-man pylons. But that is going to be the game. Fairvale High School taking the victory over Panda Republic, coming from Kingsgrove North. And so, guys, thank you very much for joining us for this second round of Meta for Week 7, guys. Myself and Reinhardt will see you guys in week number 8.